Hello, how are you today? Or this evening, or tonight, or whenever you're watching it in the morning, whenever. Um, as you can see from the title, it is Through the Eyes of a Child. I know this is Domestic Abuse Awareness Month, and I know all too well about it on both sides, as a child and as an adult. But I want to talk about what it does to a child. And I'm going to talk about it from my view of it, growing up with it. Um, my father, who I love, who hasn't been in my life for a long time. I never hated him. That's something that, I never did. I never hated my father. Um, Growing up, I grew up in Houston, Texas. And sometimes we would come to Louisiana when we're in between places, which we moved a whole lot. We moved, I think, every area of Houston. We were there. We were never planted in one area. My dad always had to move. That was one thing, he always had to move. We didn't stay in the same place for long. But as far as I can remember, it was always abuse in our home. There were not too many good days growing up. I grew up with my sister, my brother, and my gorgeous mom, who I love so much. And you have to understand also, back then, there weren't any darts. There weren't any places for a woman to go and to talk to someone about the abuse. So my mom basically had to deal with it herself, and she was scared, and she was trying to protect us as well. And back then, growing up, we really didn't understand why we were going through this. At least I didn't. I didn't understand. And we would see my mom get beat, and practically every week. We would just wait on it, basically, because he would just snap. He would just snap over anything. And through my eyes, I saw hate. I saw anger. And I saw something that I didn't want to have. And so I tried to escape it. And the way that we escaped it, and the way that I escaped it, was to pretend I wasn't there. I tried to pretend I wasn't there. I would make tents in my brother's room. We would make tents, and we would have like different compartments in there. We would pretend like we were in Louisiana. We would pretend like we were at Big Mama's house. And also at the last apartment that we lived at, it was some bushes outside. And I would go in these bushes because you can just crawl in, and there was space in the back. And I would crawl in through that little hole that was there, and I would pretend I wasn't there. I would pretend like I was somewhere else, Louisiana, because that was being at my grandmother's house was like the protective thing. And I remember so vividly I'm gonna give you some examples, and I just want you to see out of the eyes of a child, because sometimes we stay in things that we shouldn't stay in, and I'm not on here to tell anybody to leave anybody. That's that person's choice. If you stay in it, you stay in it. If you get out, you get out. That's your choice. But I remember my dad coming to get us one day. We were at my grandmother's house, at Granddaddy Neal's house in Simsboro. And I remember that day that car drove up, and it was time to go back to Houston. And my brother and sister went that way, and I ran the other way. I actually ran and hid under the house, hoping that he couldn't find me, because I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go back to it. I was so tired of seeing my mama get abused. and us. He abused us also. And I was so tired of it. But I cried. My grandmother couldn't do anything. She knew, but she couldn't do anything because, you know, she was like that. So, but he found me under the house, and I had to get in the car and go on that drive. And some people would say, well, why she didn't leave? Like I said back then, there were no one to talk to, nobody to confide in, and she didn't know how to do it. She was trying to protect her 3 kids, the best that she knew, and she did. She protected us the best that she could. I remember one time she got the guts to leave, and we were at the bus stop, and I remember this so much. My little legs couldn't touch the ground, and I remember my legs just, going back and forth because I was happy we were leaving him, finally leaving. That's bad for a little kid, but I didn't want to see it anymore. And I remember him coming to the bus station, and he got on his knees, and he said, "If you don't leave me, I promise I won't do it again." And he made that promise. And as soon as we got in the car, he said, "I will kill you if you ever leave me." Well, that was hard. That was hard to hear. It was hard to see the rewards of trying to leave. It was hard going through that as a child. It was hard getting thoughts in my head of the things that I wanted to do to my father because I just wanted it to stop. I didn't understand why he would get so mean and so angry. I didn't understand why he would take it out on us. I didn't understand why he had to hit my mom. I didn't understand that. I didn't understand why he had to make her walk home at midnight and 1 a.m. from work. And as a little girl, I couldn't sleep. I would put wet rags on my forehead to make myself stay awake until I heard the door open and I knew my mom made it home. And that was not a short walk. You can ask my siblings. It was not a short walk. And my heart became heavy because of the abuse. I really didn't know who I was because my father would call me names. He would tell me what I wasn't. He would beat me for anything. My brother, my sister, he would just hit us. And so one day, my mom finally, she's like, I can't do this anymore. And he had called that day. We were at school. And he called and he said, "When I get home, I'm going to kill y'all." Well, that's my father. And, hey, Nettie, I for one, knew he wasn't playing. And so my mom made the choice to leave. So she packed what she could carry. And, it was things that I was like, "Mama, but my dress, but Mama, but my shoes." And she said, "Tonsil, we gotta go. And she carried those heavy suitcases. We were little. So she carried those heavy suitcases and we carried what we could. And we walked through the back way of the apartments where you couldn't see us from the road. We walked through the back way and we walked all the way to her job where they hid us in the office upstairs. They hid us until the manager got off. And she took us across town on the north side of Houston. She took us all the way to the other side of Houston to her home. And she hid us. And we stayed all night. And I was so scared because they took my mom out to a movie, which she had never done. They took her to a movie to get her mind off of things. Because, again, we were abused and we were not allowed to go to church while we lived there. While we were in Houston, we didn't go to church. And so we stayed all night and the phone rang while my mom was gone. And we were staying with the lady's kids. And I started screaming. I started screaming when the phone rang, and I said, "Oh, don't answer, don't answer. That's my daddy. That's my daddy. That's my daddy gonna kill us." And the kids they got traumatized because I was screaming, but it wasn't my daddy. He didn't know where where we were. But for me as a child, I was terrified. I thought that he knew everything. I thought that he was coming to get us. So that following morning, um, we were taken to the airport early that morning by another lady. She took us to the airport. Oh my God, this was like the Underground Railroad to me. She took us to the airport, and they paid for our plane tickets to fly to Louisiana. And someone came to get us from the airport, and it was like a breath of fresh air because I was like, finally, we don't have to go through the abuse anymore. We can be kids. My mom don't have to get hit anymore, and we can finally live a good life here. And we were living a nice life here, and my my father had tricked us. And how did he do it? He told my grandmother, his mom, to tell us that we could spend the night with him, my mom, to spend the night with her. And because he was going to be on his way down here. And he told her he wanted to reconcile. So when we got up to my grandmother's house, here comes my father. And that just blew me. I'm like, I knew it. I knew he was gonna, do something to us. And he was nice that whole day. He was really nice. He took my mom somewhere, and I was terrified of that because I'm like, she ain't coming back. But she came back. And later on that day, we were in the room, in the back room, and I'll never forget it. And I started hearing all kind of things falling, and my dad had started again. And it was horrible. It was horrible. I came running out the room. He was beating my mama. My grandfather had to run out and get him. He hit my sister so hard she flew across the room. I ran up. It was a store down the street. It's not there anymore, but it was a store down the street. And I hid in between the air conditioner vents. Because again, I didn't want him to find me. I didn't want to die. I didn't want to. And here comes my grandfather in the car with my mom, my sister, and my brother, and they said, get in. And we got in and went home. And I could tell you, thing after thing, he shot at us one night. He actually shot at us to kill. I felt the bullet hit the dirt hit my foot, on the back of my foot where the bullet had just landed. It missed my foot by that much. And it was terrifying to go through that as a child. So I know what domestic abuse does to a child. And it hindered my learning. It hindered my ability to see who I was. Because the abuse, it made me feel like I was nothing. The abuse made me feel like crap. It made me feel worthless because of the things my father said to me, the abuse that I saw with my mom, the abuse I saw him do to my brother and sister. It was not good. And so it took years. It took years for me to get over that. And I went through other abuse because of my low self-esteem, for one, and because of the stupidity of other people that abuse me in a way that they shouldn't abuse me. But today we're talking about domestic abuse. And so as I grew up, you start thinking that that's the normal way of dealing of a relationship. You actually do. And if you don't get healed of that, you actually attract that into your life. And so later on, I attracted that into my life. And while I was dating him, there was signs of abuse. But I wanted to be loved so much, I ignored those signs. And domestic abuse is more than just this. Domestic abuse is mental. Domestic abuse when you mess with somebody's mind by the words that you say, that the mental abuse, the torment that you try to give someone, that's abuse. I mean, it's all abuse. Abuse is abuse. And so I went through all that. I went through it as an adult, and I didn't know how to get out of it. I still had low self esteem, and I didn't know who I was. And I believe that, that this was part of life. Deal with it. But I started finding out who I was, and I went to a wonderful church, and I found out who I was in God. And that's what started releasing all that junk out of me. And again, I'm not telling anybody to leave anybody, and I would never put my mom down, ever. My mom is a wonderful woman. So let's get that straight. She's a wonderful woman, and she did what she had to do at that time to survive. Today, there are many outlets for women to go to, shelters. There are places that women can go to. DART is an excellent place that women can go to now. I've actually gone to DART. They've helped me. So it's places that you can go now. But at that time, my mom didn't have anybody that she could talk to. And I remember riding in the car with my mom one night. And my mom didn't like driving in Houston because of all the horrible traffic, and it's worse now. And it was raining that day. I'll never forget this. I was like 8 or 9, and I heard on the radio something about helping domestic abuse women, helping abused women. And I was like, oh, that could be for my mommy. Oh, I'll never forget that. I never forget that. A little child shouldn't be like, oh, my mama can get help with that. No. If you're in an abused relationship or abusive, think about the kids. There are places that will help you. So many people feel helpless. They feel like they have to stay in it. They feel like they don't have anywhere to go, because a lot of abused women, there are abused men too, but a lot of abused women are so brainwashed to think that that won't nobody help them, that won't nobody love you, that you're nothing. Some men will try to brainwash you to nothing. They will try to diminish you because they want that hold on you. And a lot of men that do that are abused themselves. They have been abused themselves, and that's the only way that they can get some kind of hold on what they used to get. They need somebody that they can control, because they felt like, that they had no control as a child, and they couldn't do anything about the abuse that they were getting. So now maybe I can do something about you, because I can they're trying to put a hold on you. Don't allow that. You are more than that. And I have been healed of it, but sometimes talking about it, it does make me cry. Not because I'm so sad or whatever. It's because God brought us through that alive. A lot of people didn't make it out alive. A lot of them didn't make it out alive. But God brought me through. He brought my sister. He brought my brother, my mom. My mom is a beautiful woman. God has just elevated her. She don't look her age. Then she was smoking like 4 packs of cigarettes a day. My mom was so nervous. She was nervous. She didn't know what to expect that day. She didn't know if she was going to get beat that day. She didn't know how he was going to be that day. He had to have everything the right way. My dad he had one of those yard rakes, the green ones, the green plastic looking ones. He had one of those for inside the house. Inside the house, because he had to have the carpet going one way, and we could not mess that carpet up, even if we had to get down there and rub it ourselves. We knew that carpet had to go one way. He had swords on the wall. He had all these things around us to make us intimidated and scared. He had swords all on the wall. I mean, we were scared. We were living in nice, very nice neighborhoods. We didn't want for anything. So on the outside, it looked really good. And none of our neighbors knew, none of them. And we couldn't cry out for help because you didn't do that. None of my friends knew, none of them. I was a little girl hurting, but I had to keep it on the DL because I couldn't tell anybody. Because what if I would have told somebody and they would have came and told my father? It wouldn't have been good at all. So we just had to keep it to ourselves and just go on with life. And thank God we didn't have to do that long. But when I did move back to Louisiana, it was the most calming thing for me. It was a battle for me to get it out of here and out of here. Mind you, I never hated my father. To this day, I don't hate my father. To this day, I do not hate him. Where, he hasn't been in my life for a long time. And, I would say, I hate that, but I don't. Because I know that he's still that person. So I don't hate that part. I love him for it. Wherever he is, I pray for him. But to be in my life, no. I'm good. I am good. But I do love him. And I did tell him after I was an adult, I love you. Now I don't think he knew how to receive it, but I did tell him that I love him. And, I can't hold that against him. But I do want to help other people to not have to go through that. Because if there was something for my mom at that time, I know that she wouldn't have went through it as long as she did. And she went through hell a long time, a very long time. And I just wanted to get on here to give you a glimpse of domestic abuse through the eyes of a child. And I hope it helped you in some kind of way. And just share it. It might help someone else, because through the eyes of a child, sometimes we don't see the how it affects a child, or they don't always tell you what they're thinking or anything like that. But I can tell you that the thoughts are there. I had thoughts of wanting to push my father out of a second-story window just so it could stop. But I knew that if I tried and he didn't, I would be out that second-story window. So just, be mindful of who you're bringing to your home. Be mindful of your children. Just be mindful. Even if they don't see it, even if they don't see you get hit, even if they don't see you get cussed out or anything like that, they still know. They still get the repercussions of it some kind of way. They will. So, if you want to stay in a relationship that you are being abused in and you're hoping that it's going to change, I pray it does. I really do. I pray it changes. But change is not going to come unless the person is willing for it to come. And if that person is willing for that change to come, then all good. Get some counseling. You can't do it on your own, because if you could, it would just stop. But get some help. There are plenty of organizations, your church. If you can go to your church, your pastor, don't go through it alone. Because there are plenty of people that I know of that are on Facebook, on social media, that are snapping up pictures, my boo thing, look at my honey, my whatever, and he beating the crap out of you behind closed doors, but you are portraying this wonderful man on pictures, and you're trying to hide it by a picture. You're waiting 3 days to take another picture because of that black eye. You're telling the kids, don't tell nobody. And these kids have to hold this in, and they be getting in fights at school. Why? Because they have all this anger built up in them. They have to let it out. Get those kids some help. You don't want them to grow up angry and bitter. But again, this is not a live I'll do another one later but I just wanted to get on here. I didn't want I just want to get on here and say something about domestic abuse, because we can't help in silence. We cannot help in silence. We have to say something. We have to have a voice for those that don't have a voice. Even as an adult, I went through abuse, and it wasn't nice again. And this time, my children. And so I had to make a choice. Do I want to stay in this and allow my children to stay in this? Because I didn't want it to be a cycle. I had to break that cycle, y'all. I had to break it because I had to get healed from it. I had to, because so many times people will look at a person, oh, he a good man. That's a good man. He wouldn't do nothing like that. But you're not living behind those closed doors. You're not listening to the meaning words that he says. You're not seeing him throw me across the room or against that wall so hard. You're not seeing me so depressed that I start indulging in food and gain so much weight that I start hating to look in the mirror. Because now I've gained so much weight. I gained so much weight. I went five sizes up. Oh, domestic abuse it hurts you in here, and it start making you think that you're nothing. But you are something. You are God's masterpiece. You're wonderful. You're beautiful. You are everything that God created you to be. You're the apple of his eye. Again, say the I ams to yourself. And if you, again, are in something like that and if you're not ready to leave, I'll just put it like that. Start telling yourself who you are. Start building yourself up. Because if you don't build yourself up, you're going to stay in that mess. You're just going to stay thinking that there's no hope. When there is greater for you, greater past abuse. Don't stay in abuse. I am the voice of abuse tonight. And please like and share the video. I thank God for each one of y'all. And I just pray for you. I pray for your household, your children. I pray a hedge of protection over you. And I just thank you. Thank you for joining me.